What is up, Stream Camp? It's your music teach JNote here today, and we're going to learn some piano basics. So, what's the most important thing to know when you're playing the piano, right? Well, the first thing is you need to know the names of the notes, and that's what we're going to learn today. This is going to be brief. I'm going to give you a few basic lessons over the next couple days, and these will help you to get started on your way to playing the piano. All right, so the names of the notes are, for lack of a better term, words that let you know what key you're pressing on the keyboard, right? So if you look at the keyboard, as you can see at the bottom of my screen here, there's an assortment of white and black keys, right? They ain't got no names. Well, I'm here to let you know that you only have to know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 letters, and that will give you all the keys on the keyboard because they just repeat as you go up. All right, so let's start with the first note that is in any set of black and white keys. All right, so the first note that you're going to run into is going to be C, and it is right here. All right, so if you see that key that's lit up at the bottom of the screen, that is the key of C. Well, that is the C key, I should say, not the key of C. We'll learn what that sentence means at another lesson. Okay, so it goes as such: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C. All right. Now, what I want you to also remember is what a block of notes are. A block of notes is going to be from C to B and the notes in between there. Okay, so as you can see, if you look, it's we're continuously having blocks of keys starting from C to B, C to B, C to B. Okay, and you see how those patterns look the same. Now, as you get to the very ends of the keyboard, they do kind of mix up a little bit. Like the far left side usually has either 1 or 2 black keys, and then the far right side has probably none, and it just ends on a C. But it does start on C and end on C. Okay, so just remember that. So let's go over that one more time. You've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to C. Okay? Now, the next set of notes are the black keys that are right above it. So, when you're on the keyboard and you go up to a black key, if you're going to the right, why is this reversed? To the right, to my right. Let me see if I can fix my camera here. This way? To the right? Well. Alright, so anytime you're on the keyboard and you're going to the right, this is my right, your right, going to your right, these are called steps. So anytime you go from one note to the other with no note in between, that's called a half step. Anytime you go from one note to another note and you skip the note that's in between it, that's called a whole step. All right, so let's go over that again. From one note to the other with no note in between, that's a half step. And from one note to the other note, or to the next note, and you skip the note in between, it's a whole step. Okay, so anytime you go a half step to the right, over here, the note is considered to become sharp. Okay, and it takes the name of the note before it, but you add sharp to it. Okay, so if we're on C and we go a half step to the right, it'll be C sharp, as you can see on the bottom of my screen there. Now, if you were to go to the left, and let's start on D, and you were to go a half step to the left, it would be considered D flat. Now, my software won't show that, but this is how I learned it in music class when I was in school. So when you're going to the left, the note is flat, and it's always taking the note that was the name of the note before it and flatting or sharpening it. Okay, now the only time there's an exception to this rule is in the case of C. So if you're at C and you go a half step to the left, you're clearly not playing C flat, you're playing B, because there is no black key here. So white keys don't take the sharp or flat suffix. Instead, they stay whatever name they were. So a whole step down from B isn't B double flat, it's A. Okay, and a whole step up from C isn't C double sharp, is D. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we've got C sharp, and this is going to the right on the keyboard. So you've got C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. Oh, let me hold that so you can see it. Okay, so those are the names of the keys on the keyboard, and that is, I promise you, every key on the keyboard. Now let's go over our tips that we went over today. Number one, the names of the keys cycle from C to D, E, F, G, A, and B. Those are the names of all the keys on the keyboard. Step two, if you progress from one key and you go to the right and hit another key and there's no note in between, that's called a half step. If you go from one note to another note by skipping the note in between them two, then that would be considered a whole step. And tip number three, anytime you progress one half step to the right and you hit a black key, that becomes a sharp key. That key takes the name of the key before it, and you add the suffix sharp after it. Anytime you go one half step to the left and you hit a black key, then it takes the name of the note before it and it becomes a flat key. And number four, the exception to that rule is when you progress a half step from the key of C, or the C key, down to B. It is not C flat, it is B. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next time for the next lesson. God bless you.